Good evening, gallery staff, councillors and those online. I welcome you to the Richmond Valley Council August meeting of 2024, which will be our final for this term. I'll open the meeting with the welcome to acknowledgement of country. Richmond Valley Council recognise the people of the Bundjalung Nations as custodians and traditional owners of this land, and we value and appreciate the continuing culture, connections to lands, their living culture and their unique role in the life of this region in the past, present and future. Mr General Manager, could you read the prayer, please?
Dear Lord, we meet to serve our Richmond Valley community, to use our resources wisely and well, to represent all members of our community fairly and to make decisions that promote the common good. We recognise our responsibility to the past and the future and the rights and needs of both individuals and community. As trusted servants, we seek blessings on our deliberations and on our efforts here today. May we act wisely and well. Amen.
Amen. Public access. There is no public access. Mr General Manager, I believe you have an item you'd like to mention or an issue?
Yeah, so just to mention, councillors, that as you are aware, we are now in the caretaker period, which is obviously why tonight's meeting is quite concise. We have also got the pre-election guide for councils, which we sort of have to go by through this period. So it's more just a reminder to you, but also to those in the gallery and watching online that we're in that caretaker period. So it does limit the decisions that can be made by councils, and that's a statewide requirement.
Thank you. Apologies. There are no apologies. It's good to see everyone present. Item 5, I have a late mayoral minute, and I'll move that if I can get a seconder, please.
Second, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Deegan had his hand up first. I'll take Councillor Deegan as the seconder. Councillors, this is just an acknowledgement and appreciation to a lot of members and council and organisations in our community for this term. They contribute what they've contributed to our society. So I'll just read a couple of paragraphs out of mainly the thanking side and acknowledging rather than the whole report. So I would like to take the opportunity to acknowledge once again the many members of our community, our volunteers and our council staff for the role they play in the response to the 2022 floods. We will never forget the courage of the tinny heroes, the tireless efforts of the Mud Army, Blaze Aid and the endless hours of service for our excellent emergency services workers and Australian Defence Force teams. Without you, we would not have survived the disaster as we did, so thankfully without the loss of human life in our community. I also want to acknowledge the tireless persistence of Richmond Valley residents in rising once again to build back better after the floods. I believe there is much to look forward to in our future, and I feel privileged to have led council through this time as we lay the foundations for growth and prosperity. I want to thank our local business community, community groups and residents for their contribution in shaping our future plans over the past 2 years. I believe we have created a clear pathway forward in the activation of the Regional Jobs Precinct, industrial lands, major residential growth on flood-safe lands and record investment in infrastructure. I would also like to personally thank the many community and sporting groups who have invited me to share their special events and achievements over the past few years. It has been an inspiration to witness firsthand the work that they do in our community, and I want to acknowledge and thank you for your efforts. I would also like to thank our Richmond Valley Council staff, led by our General Manager Vaughan McDonald, and I know my fellow councillors will join me in acknowledging their tireless service during the flood response and recovery period and the vital work that they do in our community every day. Finally, I thank my fellow councillors for their service and support over the past council term. It has been a time of great challenge and achievements for our community, and I feel privileged to have shared the journey with you. We've put the building blocks in place and I look forward to our Richmond Valley community's continued growth and prosperity over the years ahead. I don't know if any other councillor would like to speak, but it's been a challenging time, but when I look around now and see we've come, it's been a rewarding time also. No other speakers? I'll put that... Sorry, Councillor Deegan.
Yeah, I guess I just want to add to the comments that you made, Mr Mayor, and just a brief indulgence, as it is my last council meeting and I'm probably the most relaxed councillor in the room at this point. But just really wanted to say how proud I've been to be part of this council. It's been a very good council, and we've all worked together as a well-functioning team, able to have different points of view and disagree respectfully at times, and then be able to put that disagreement to the side and move on for the benefit of the community. As you mentioned, the challenge of the 2022 floods and the recovery and the massive work that the staff put in around that. And I think as councillors, we're incredibly proud of the staff and everything that they've done. We were able to stick together and make difficult decisions at times, even if they weren't popular, but we believed that the decisions we made were for the best interest of the community, and that's what we did, and I'm very proud of that. The only real criticism I've received is from people of the community at times have said there wasn't enough debate as part of this council, and on the surface I would agree with that, but when you come to council meetings and the staff put forward well thought out, well written, well reasoned arguments, it's very hard to disagree with it. It's very hard to debate well evidenced, well thought out motions put before us. So I really want to thank and acknowledge the staff for that, and thank my fellow councillors.
Thank you. Any other speakers?
Mr Mayor, I've been inspired by Councillor Deegan, and I agree. When the reports come to council, I read them and I thoroughly enjoy them, and just like this, your mayoral minute, they're perfect words to finish our term. And I often think, just repeating, but it's all has been wonderful. But I would like to say that I have witnessed over the past number of years that in the face of adversity, this council actually doubles down and gets on with the job. The workload, the emergency recovery and the routine workload delivered throughout the valley by this council is absolutely astounding, with signature projects also completed and all to such a high standard. Council has also worked towards a dynamic future for the Richmond Valley, with the adoption of the Regional Jobs Precinct Master Plan and the place and adaptation planning, focused on the future needs and the aspirations of our unique towns and villages. Each with comprehensive and therefore very valuable components of community consultation. The investment plan for critical water and sewer infrastructure, $200 million, very important for our future and for essential needs going forward. Much of the workload has been demanding and challenging. The work ethic, nothing short of remarkable. The dedication, commitment and pride that I've witnessed throughout this organisation, genuine care and compassion for our communities is real, and it's truly special. Always striving to achieve just that little bit extra for our community. It's been an absolute privilege to have shared the journey with such a positive and respectful team, and I'm in awe of the breadth of knowledge and experience within the organisation. That's a win-win for our Richmond Valley community. Thank you all sincerely for supporting me in my role as a councillor during the last term. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Just in closing, Councillor Deegan, you mentioned about the shortness of the meetings. Some other councils will have a meeting for 4 or 5 hours and still not get through their agenda. To me, that's not productive. And also you mentioned about the accuracy and the wisdom in our reports. Councils also are well advised with information at our information sessions, and if there's any updates, we get those through an email. So when we come here, we have all the knowledge we need to make a very well-founded decision. So I thank the staff for that. And I believe this council has, as Councillor Deegan said, had a few issues we've had to deal with. Hasn't been easy, but for the whole community, and I say that again, whole community, we've achieved the best outcome. So, on a personal note, thank you, Councillor Deegan, for your input. I must say you were the first political party to be elected since I've been on council, and I had a few reservations, but you have not brought those political alliances to this council, and I thank you for that, like we see in other council areas. So thanks again, and all the best for your future, wherever you travel and what you do. So thank you. Any other speakers? Well, that actually closes it. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. I did fail councillors in apologies to mention that Director Gator and Director Jones are absent tonight, but we have Ms Zendelay here and also Mr Fleming in their place. So welcome. We'll try to dig up some very hard questions for you. All right, we go over the page now to confirmation of the minutes. Item 6. Could I get a mover, please, for that?
Move that way, thank you.
Councillor Humphries, and seconder?
Second, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Morrissey. Is everybody good with the accuracy of those minutes? Put that motion then. All those in favour? Carried. We then have minutes of the extraordinary meeting on 6th of August 2024. Could I get a mover for that, please?
Move, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Morrissey, seconder. Councillor Cornish. Everyone okay with the accuracy? Put that motion then. All those favour? Carried. Matters arising out of those minutes of both meetings. Councillor.
Yeah, I've got one. The minutes for the Traffic Committee meeting were in that, the minutes of the ordinary meeting for the 16th of July, and in there was a
Do you have a page?
probably in here somewhere. Construction. Is it page, which, on these, is it? Yep. Page 16 in the minutes. Find it. It's not there. Where are we? Yeah, item 19.7 on page 16 should be. Wait, sorry, here it is. Yeah, on page 16. Yep. Minutes of the local traffic committee meeting, 25th of June.
Yep.
Okay. It just says council receives and notes the minutes of the local traffic committee. In those minutes, though, there was some stuff about the Wardell Bridge, and we're going to have a meeting in early August, which hasn't been called yet, to discuss the results of that. The lady from the Roads and Traffic Authority that was at that meeting was going to go back and find out the usage and the tonnage and what Ballina Council were proposing with the limits on that bridge.
You have an update?
Didn't we receive an email about this? Just bear with me. Recall an email that might be able to provide you some information. So, Yeah, Councillor Hayes. So we did get an update on this matter via Transport for New South Wales. So just from Graham Robertson, who's obviously a representative on the local traffic committee. His advice in this email, which I'm happy to forward through to councillors, is that there are no new heavy vehicle restrictions on the Wardell Bridge. The existing restrictions have been in place since pre-Pacific Highway upgrade / relocation. The restrictions affect height and weight, but I believe the main issue for the SCT cane buggies could be the 5.1 metre height restriction. It goes on into a little bit of detail, but I'm happy to forward that through to yourself and councillors and the traffic committee. It is something, I think, from reading this, we need to have some further discussions with Transport for New South Wales, because there is a suggestion around there may be a pathway for the sugar mill and their trucks, but I'll need to get into more detail that I'm not in a position to provide that advice tonight.
So the sound of that, it's just the height limit. It's nothing to do with the weight or the noise or anything. It's just the height limit.
So that's what the email advises, is that is the main limitation. But again, I will sort of take it on notice that we'll dig into a bit of detail again tomorrow, and we can advise you. And I would imagine this matter was to be brought back to the next local traffic committee meeting, which will obviously happen in the new electoral term.
At the last meeting, they said they were going to bring it to a early August traffic committee meeting, which hasn't happened. But yeah, there might be a reason for that. So yeah, so if we can get that email, that'd be good.
Yep, we'll do that.
Thank you.
Any other matters arising? Nope. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what's that bloody thing doing. Mr. General Manager, I believe you have your an extra item 7.
Yes, I do, Mr. Mayor. First time we've had one of these, certainly in this term of council. So this item is an erratum. So that is where we've had a report that went to the Ordinary Council meeting dated the 20th of February 2024, which included a typographical error, but it is an important error because it was a lot number description. So the report was in relation to land acquisitions to enable the Tatham Bridges project. And so there were a number of lots in that report, which has been reproduced for you this evening, the full report. One of the lots was incorrectly described. The lot number was incorrect. It was only the one lot that was incorrect, and the number that was in the report, that lot doesn't actually exist. The description of the lot, where it is, the maps were all correct. So it was just the number that's incorrect. It was picked up as we've obviously moved forward, acting on this resolution of council, that there was a typographical error. So this report seeks for that to be corrected on the record. So both in the agenda paper and minutes of the 20 February meeting. But to do that, recommending that it be moved and resolved by council, so that we just have that done formally, given that it is an important property matter with the description of land being properly notated.
So I really need a motion for this to be admitted. Can I get a move of that, please? To be admitted.
Second.
Councillor Hayes, seconder. Councillor Morrissey. I'll put that motion. This is just to have it admitted. Carried. Now I need, you all have a report in front of you. I need a mover so this can be discussed.
Move that way.
Councillor Humphries, seconder. Councillor Cornish. Councillor Humphries.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. For the reasons given to us by the General Manager, I move the recommendation.
Councillor Cornish.
No, nothing.
I'll just, if it's a typographical error, those things can happen, but I'm pleased that it's been brought to Council's attention so it can be dealt with, and the record will be set straight. Councillor Humphries, right to reply? I'll put that motion in. All those in favour? Carried. Declarations of interest. Any council got a declaration of interest? The General Manager, had any?
No, none received.
Thank you. Petitions nil. Notice of motions are nil. On page 9, we are now on Mayor's report. I'll move that.
Second, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Morrissey. Any questions out of that? No
Yeah,
question? Oh, Councillor.
Not so much a question. Would you like to make some comment on the on the 25th of July? You went to the CO2 facility opening at Woodburn for the algae farm there, which is quite a large complex, by what I can gather.
Yep. Actually, I was accompanied by Deputy Mayor Morrissey on this. It's very innovative. I'd never ever thought I would see this type of industry. I was quite surprised and taken back. I didn't know it existed. And to have it pop up in the Richmond Valley, I think is very special. Yeah, they can grow algae out of a little test tube, and they grow it over a certain time and in different ponds in different ways. And out of a test tube, it ends up in a big channel. They've got really big outdoor ponds, mostly 100 metres long and 30, 40 metres wide, and when they harvest it, they can get 60 to 100 kilos of algae, and they turn that into many different products, from beauty products to be able to eat it. It's very high in energy, and a lot of other, I can't think of the word, vitamins, and it's just, blew my mind, to be honest with you. And I did say to the people who are running it and own it and manage it that I believe that an invitation needs to be sent to the new council to go and have a look at this, because it's way out of my scope to be able to explain how this works. It's just amazing. So it's I think they said it's the biggest one in Australia. There are a few. This is the biggest one in Australia. So, yeah, quite amazing. And they pump the water out of the Richmond River and then return it later, and it's all the guidelines for the environment are followed. And yeah, it's something. And the amount of water it's actually used is lower for a lot of the ways we get our energy and vitamins and that. So, yeah, no, it's. I think it's the lower river with the flood-prone land there. The buildings are up high, and the rest of it, I think if the flood went over it, they just empty the ponds and start again. It's really good. Don't know if Councillor Morrissey's want to say anything or just agrees.
No,
or
I'll agree.
I might
Does that
just
answer your
comment.
question?
I spoke to one of the workers out there the other night, just out and about, and they said that algae farm there, I think he said it covers, at the moment, 7 hectares at that site, and they're looking at sites that can take up to 250 hectares of this type of development. So it's getting big. Yeah.
It's an emerging industry, and it's very high in protein, very high. Yeah. Can't think of the word. What do you get from fish?
Omega-3.
Sorry?
Omega-3.
Yeah, omega-3. Naturally, it's high in that because the fish eat what they're. Yeah, so it's very, very high in that too. Thank you.
No worries.
Any other questions? put that motion in. All those in favour? Carried. Delegates' reports nil. Matters determined without debate. Has any councillors got any items? I'll call 14.1 and 14.2.
And 15.1, thank you.
Any others? So that tells me we need a motion for 14.3, 15.2, 17.1, 17.2, 17.3, 17.4 and 17.5? No? I've had a little bit of a... And I'll go back over the front then. Well, I've got that. I've got that.
So it's call 1 and 2, so you need...
Yeah, 14.3, 17.1, 17.2.
That's it.
Yep. Sorry, I had a bit of paper that was... So we've got 14.3, 17.1, 17.2. Could I get a motion for that, please?
Move, please.
Seconder?
Second.
Second.
Councillor Cornish. All those in favour? Carried. 14.1, I'll move that. Can I get a seconder, please?
Second, Mr.
Councillor Morrissey. Councillors, I'm not going to go through this, but just to say that it's a very positive report, and it's got some wonderful outcomes for our community under the recovery plan progress, the delivery program progress, the delivery signature projects, planning for the future growth of the infrastructure, protecting the environment, growing our economy, and providing service to our community. There's some wonderful outcomes for that. Mr. General Manager, I do have a question. It relates to the casino showground and racecourse. Could you give me an update of when the power, as we know, we had a trouble with a contractor there. When will the power, looks like, will be finished and turned on over there, available?
I'll let Director Zeller give us a bit of an update on that progress of that project.
So yes, as discussed, the power's the main element of that project that's taken a little bit of time to work through, which is a given when you're sort of dealing with Essential Energy and they need to go through their processes. So the latest update that we got is that will be all ready to go by the 30th of September. So there's an application process that happens. We've had the design done. There's a power outage period of time that has to happen where the power to the whole precinct's switched off, but that's all factored into that time frame. So once that power is done in the last sort of 5 or so days of September, we'll ideally get all our building certification sign off and our proper occupation certificate. So then outside of that, the only thing that's still to happen out at the showground is a separate project that we took on, and that is putting some irrigation into the racetrack. And at this point, we're sort of looking at the end of October for that to be finished. We're sort of playing with the dates around scheduled race days and things like that, so that will have minimal impact on those. But 30 September for the power.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Not so much a question, just a comment around the 1,600 new home sites for out at Ferry Hill. and the, you know, the possibility that there could be 4,000 more people out there in the next 15 years, it says there. And tell me if I cross the line here. You know, the next election and the one after that and the next term after that, with Casino's population predicted to grow like, you know, in those numbers, it really pulls the onus on the lower river areas away, because we're not going to grow at anywhere near that speed. It's not looking that way, especially now since the floods and the availability of land for growth. So it makes it more important that we really try hard to get land down our way for future housing, and it's needed, and all types of housing is needed. And I think in the future, if that doesn't happen, there's going to be a divide and come back between the lower river and the Casino area. For the simple fact is that to get representation with the population that's down there is going to be damn hard. You know, it's dwindled in the last few years, and I think it's going to get worse unless things change. And I don't want to detract from having a subdivision up here that's going to house 4,000 people. That's great, and the industry it supports, and the jobs it supports, and the housing, and you know, and there's talk that the population from down our way will traverse up here and live in that subdivision. So it's, you know, it all detracts from the growth down there and what can possibly happen post floods. You know, and we're well into that period, and you know, we're looking at the next 15 years of 4,000 people up here, and no doubt there'll be more than that with everything else that's going on. I really think council needs to do something, you know, to get the representation down there and keep the place together. You know, the place plans weren't that sympathetic with us using Casino as our main hub. We tend to go to Ballina, and that's getting bigger and bigger. You know, we're going down there to shop. We've got to do something to start tying the bottom of the half of the valley back to Casino. You know, it's a long way in front of us, but I think, you know, over the next couple of council terms, if it doesn't happen, things will change. And there'll be push for us to go to Ballina Council, down our way. Coracai's more attached to Casino and Lismore, but those place plans are damning. They say that we are more aligned with the lifestyle and the services that come out of Ballina. So I think it's something that's going to raise its head and raise its head soon. So I think just note, be prepared.
Thank you.
Mr Mayor, if I could say a couple of words. Thinking about Councillor Hayes's comments, the last comments there, like going back, I always, with the amalgamation, I was always a huge supporter of Evans Head marrying up with Ballina and Casino if they had to head somewhere heading to Kyogle. So, you know, could be that it should have been. I'd just like to make a comment about the report. I think it really benefits council when council gets together with community council and community projects. And there's a great example in here with the street tree planting program, where it says that council has had strong community interest in street tree planting program and is currently partnering with local schools and community groups through its Growing On program. So I just was going to ask a question, but I'm just reading further, to nurture young trees for future tree planting. I guess my question, I do have one, my question would be through you, Mr Mayor, is where will they be nurtured? Where will all those little babies, where will those little seedlings be kept?
Mr General Manager.
Oh. Very happy for Acting Director Zendelay to answer that one.
Through you, Mr Mayor, the schools will be growing on the plants for the greening program, so we'll be providing them with the seed stock, and we'll be supporting them through the process, and they'll be growing on the plants for us for the future, for our future street trees.
Would that be in, like, at their schools, so they've got access to them all the time as well?
Yes, so it'll be through the schools, located at the schools. The Evans Head School already has done something similar for us in the past, so we sort of use that model for growing them on.
Very exciting, thank you.
I'd just like to comment on a couple of the statements that were made. I know that Evans Head do use a lot of services from Evans Head and also from Ballina and also Lismore, as does Casino use a lot of services from Lismore. But I still see them as a part of the Richmond Valley. We have a connection with casino that we've had for generations and generations and generations. We have a lot of people from here retired to Evans Head, and I know there are a lot of people coming out of Evans Head who've lived there and grown up there but can't afford to live there, so they come into casino. So I always believe that connection will be there into the future. Any other speakers?
Mr Mayor, if I could just follow on by saying my comment about the amalgamation. The way that the plans have gone and the way that we've all gelled and the connections that we all have together, I wouldn't change anything in our Richmond Valley as it is today.
Probably just trying to get over the line the fact that like what we're doing is pushing us that way. Okay, so we're probably Ballina wanted to take us on. We're in a better position down there now than what we were years ago when it was talked about, and we're going to supply a new Broadwater bridge, a new sewage plant. We're already hooked to Rouse Water as Ballina are. There's so many things that are pushing us towards that's going to raise its head. So I think we should, if we're passionate about staying part of casino, we want to make sure we do something about it.
Yep.
Yeah, simple as that.
I believe there's a future for the Lower River and casino area to stay as one area. If you were young and growing up in Evans Head, the prices they're paying now for land there, they can't afford to stay on the coast. They can't go to Ballina, they can't go to Lennox Head. They need to come inland, and they're a part of our community and always have been, always will be. And I think the opportunity for them young people is to come here, and if they still work, they travel every day. There's people living at Junction Hill and travel to Coffs Harbour to work because they can't afford to live on the coast. And these 1,500 homes will give those young families on the coast somewhere to live, and they might have to travel 40 or 50 minutes to work. But if you live in the city, that would be a dream. So I believe that connectivity will stay with Evans Head and Casino. And we have the Evans Head Casino Surf Lifesaver Club. We have sporting people who play down there. There's people in Casino playing soccer for Woodburn. So, it's there. People in Evans Head come up here and play sport.
I think the word is connectivity, and to maintain the connectivity, and a big way to do that is, and it's a matter for the next council, is to go back to wards.
But wards are designed on populations. So it's, Anyway, that's another debate for another day. And the community, when the amalgamation happened, had a referendum and they voted wards down. So it wasn't council that done it, it was a community.
And I only brought it up because I may not be here.
All right, we've had a bit of a debate on that one. And I've had me write a reply, so I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Carried. 14.2. Just a quick comment on this. As you know, previously it's been reported to council that I didn't call it?
You called it.
Oh, sorry.
You're going to move it.
I'll move that. Sorry. I'll move the recommendation.
I'll second it, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you for your guidance. Councillors, you may recall that at New South Wales Productivity, Mr Peter Atchestart visited Casino Wastewater Treatment Plant during this funding review. General Manager and I met with him, and I'd just like to say that from page 22 to 30 of this report is most probably one of the best put together submissions and in-depth that I've seen in my time of council. It's and I'd like to compliment our staff who were involved in producing council submission, and it's pleased that some of the issues raised have been addressed in the report, in the review. And I'd just like to thank and ask the General Manager to pass on Council's appreciation of that. I think it was well done, and it's good to see that there's an outcome coming from it. Any other speakers? Put that motion in. All those in favour? Carried. I believe we're on to 15.1 now on page 34. Councillor Humphries.
Move the recommendation, thanks.
Seconder.
Second, sorry.
Councillor Humphries.
Mr Mayor, I'd just like to make a comment on just supporting and congratulating everyone that had anything to do with this casino truck show. It was such an incredible experience. I spent the day, the Saturday, down amongst the crowds, and you know, you could hardly put a pin between some of the people at many times. It was just, people were just coming and going like this big, slow, rolling wave, and they were just going up and down Walker Street the whole of the Saturday. I just would like to comment and bring out the fact that it again was the biggest truck show in the Southern Hemisphere. This year with 600 registered entrants. We know that they had to cap those that were going in the float parade and to 350, and 30,000 people were forecast to be there, and not only forecast, there were statistics that they were able to work that out. So 30,000 people is pretty close to the figure, and with $3.9 million, the boost to the local economy. One of the points that I enjoyed the most about it, and this goes back to the organisation by our team and the knowledge that has been built up over the 11 years of it, is because they capped the trucks to the 350, inside Walker Street and the other streets in the CBD, they had about 6 or 7 spare parking bays. And then after the parade, they brought these trucks, like, I don't know, 6 or 7 at a time, and they just brought them in from to here and to over there and to over here and over there, and to be in the middle and watching that, just like the logistics of that taking place, that in itself was absolutely magnificent. So I just wanted to draw it out. I love events. I love that they bring new money to the town, and I just wanted to congratulate everybody that had anything to do with this amazing truck show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to
Councillor
say,
Hayes.
the statistics for that event are unbelievable, and it's so well done for the casino community to stage such a show and be able to run it like they do. And now, to better it, do you keep trying to better it? What do you do? There's going to be discussions around, where we can get more trucks, or so it'll go on and on. But what I want to say is, I think it's something to consider, is to, instead of just making other events within the town limits of casino, is to start pushing some of it to Corrigai, to make some kind of a sideshow part of the truck show at Corrigai at the same time. Whether it's vintage trucks or different types of trucks, or something on the day after where everyone can go from here and go through Corrigai. I think it's an opportunity for Corrigai, being so close, and the riverbank and all the open area that's down there, for something like that to spread. We spread Beef Week down to Evans Head, and it was great. We've lost that. We don't want to, I'd like to see something else spread our way, and Corrigai seems to be the place, and it's close enough. The logistics between going from casino to Corrigai couldn't be that great. The road's good, so once we get the Tatham bridges in, I think it'll be a great way to take some trucks down there over the Tatham bridges and into Corrigai for the day.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you.
I believe there were a lot of people down that way camping. You just couldn't get accommodation everywhere on the North Coast, so people just coming here. So, and when you see where the people in the list where they come from, Mariba, Japan, New Zealand, Perth, South Africa, I actually spoke to some people from New Zealand, and also Tasmania and Darwin. It's just incredible where they come from, and Perth naturally. Some of the trucks were from there. It's incredible how it's growing and what it does for our economy. It's some of the shops in town, especially the food shops, were just taken back what they spent. I was talked to a person at the Business Awards the other night, and they said they hadn't been open long, and they just sold out of everything. They couldn't believe it. So it's good for the town. Any other speakers? Right, a reply, Councillor Humphries.
Mr Mayor, the name of is it the Go Live team? I haven't got that right. Probably not even close. What's the name of that team?
Invest and live.
Yes, Invest in Live team. Our Invest in Live team, I believe that, they'll be looking at something like that in answer through you, Mr Mayor, to Councillor Hayes, when they're looking at the rail trail, like pushing the people down to Coracai, down to the Richmond Valley. All that I see as just being all positive and all new money flowing, and the event and people, having more creativity to have the people stay there a bit longer, all the way down into the valley as well. Thank you.
Put that motion. All those in favour? Carried. We now go to page 43. Well, actually 42, but there's no general business, so we'll go to 43, matters for information. Get a mover, please.
Mr Mayor.
Councillor Morrissey, seconder.
Second.
Seconder? I didn't get
Yes,
Councillor. Sorry, Cornish. Councillor Morrissey.
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Any other councillors? No. I just might comment on the DAs coming through. I noticed the last few councillors we've had, I think one for 5 and 8 and a couple of, so we're off to a good start for the coming year, because you can tell by the number and amount of DAs how your area is going in economic development. And we know if we have economic development, the whole community flourishes and thrives. So, any other speakers?
I'll just make a quick comment on the libraries.
Yep.
Just the performance of the libraries on 9.1. It's pretty impressive, some of the figures there. I think it's often a service that's a bit overlooked by the community. But as I said, looking 130,000 people walk through the doors, up 11,000 from the previous year with 16,500 current members. It's pretty impressive, and also to note the retirement of Gary after 45 years. So, I think it's just something that gets a bit overlooked sometimes, the services that libraries do provide to the community.
Yeah, I just had a few of those marked myself, but I would also like to mention that the manager of the regional library, Gary Ellum, did retire after 45 years of service. So I believe he's getting on with retirement and enjoying it. And the library is still kicking along and firing on all cylinders, so it's great. And the increase of the 9% of loan items, almost 150,000. That's a pretty hard figure to equate. And I noticed a monthly book club was established in Evans Head. So, yep, it's really good for our area. Thanks for calling that out, Councillor Cornish. Any other? I'll put that, Councillor Morrissey, no, I'll put that motion in. All those in favour? Carried. I think we're on page 69. And we've got questions on notice. Neil, questions for the next meeting in writing. Some of us may not be here to get the answers if you ask them. No? Just in closing, council, I think we, councillors, I think we spoke about a mayoral minute. I'd like to thank everyone here tonight for attending, especially those in the gallery who come consistently to be a part of our community. I thank you for that. To the media that's here tonight, Susanna, thank you for your regular attendance. It's appreciated. And for those people out there online viewing, thank you for taking an interest in what happens in council. To our staff, thank you very much for over the term. And to councillors, appreciate your support you've given me, and I believe we've been a great council for our community. Thank you. That closes the meeting.